毛线是就是对于这种浪漫的小毛线，它们也是。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dwight Sora. I am a member of the Midwest Buddhist Temple, and I am very pleased to be here today with my fellow members of Chicago Aikikai Aikido Dojo under the leadership of Chief Instructor and Dojo Cho Marcia Turner. The dojo was started in the early 60s as Illinois Aikido Club. It was started up in the old North Clark Street, Japantown neighborhood by a group of Nisei, and evolved into the group that you see before you today. We are now currently based in the Westtown neighborhood. We are very honored that the Midwest Buddhist Temple invited us this year, and will now give you a short demonstration about Aikido and how we practice it. At this time, I'd like to invite Andrew Vitale Sensei again. Please welcome Vitale Sensei. He's one of our instructors. He will be leading the group in some short warm-ups while I briefly explain Aikido's history and its concepts. Now, Aikido is a relatively recent martial art. It was recognized by the Japanese government in 1942, although it is based upon several older forms of combat that were practiced by the samurai, which is one reason we wear the hakama, the wide pleated pants. That was part of their attire. We wear these today to both honor those traditions, and also this is part of our training mentality, the idea that once we're in the dojo, we set aside our everyday selves, our everyday concerns, to concentrate upon our training. Now, if you could imagine a long time ago, the samurai would not just have had these hakama, but they would have worn maybe a top coat, possibly armor if they were in battle, and all of this would have prevented them from doing the sort of high kicking and striking that one usually thinks of when they think of the word martial arts. So they developed techniques that allowed them to do the most with the least. How to get the maximum amount of movement and effect while moving very little. And this involved paying attention to your opponent and then trying to use their momentum, their motions, the natural structure of their body, and turning an attack back against them, which involved trying to be very relaxed and very soft. And the founder of Aikido, a man named Morihei Ueshiba, who we today call O-sensei, or a great teacher, he took these ideas and he combined them with a non-aggressive philosophy. If you speak Japanese, the word for Aikido is a combination of the characters for I, which means to join or to blend, ki, which is energy, and do, which is a way of doing things. So Aikido can mean the way of blending or merging with energy. Oh, thank you very much, Andrew Sensei. So let's try to illustrate that briefly. I'd like to invite up Mr. Christian Boswell, one of our students. Christian, if you could join me. So, in another martial art, perhaps, if Christian was to say, direct a strike towards my head, I might respond with a hard block and a counter punch. And nothing wrong with this. It's a perfectly good way of handling a situation. Aikido just emphasizes something else. When the punch comes in, instead I try to move with his movement. And then I try to enter into this hole that's momentarily created by his own attack. And then I use the natural relationship of our bodies to unbalance him. And then I can either lock him or throw him. So one more time, other side. So let's see some more examples of that. I'd like to invite back up our chief instructor, Marcia Turner. I'll see some more examples of Aikido technique. Thank you very much, Sensei. An important component of Aikido is weapons practice. And I'd like to invite back up Mr. Andrew Vitale Sensei, this time Rob Rose Sensei. And they're going to do some demonstrations involving the bokken, which is the wooden practice sword. The bokken is based off of the katana, the metal sword, probably seen in movies. Now, Aikido is not a weapons art per se. It's not like kendo or certain forms of kenjutsu. We derive a lot of influence from sword work, for example, especially the circular movements that we use in our footwork and how we enter into space are heavily influenced by use of the sword. The main purpose of practicing with weapons in Aikido is really to enhance our training. It's to enhance our sense of distance, balance, timing, and also delivery of power. Thank you very much, Sensei. They will now continue their demonstration with some techniques involving the jo, or the quarterstaff. Andrew Sensei, or Sensei, please, jo. Now, this is not to be confused with the bow, which is a longer weapon, if you've ever heard of bojutsu. The jo is somewhat akin to a walking stick. In fact, according to lore, it is often disguised as a walking stick. It's interesting because it has a longer extension than the sword, and also because there is no blade, you can use both ends. Thank you very much, Sensei. Now, you may have noticed that a lot of the techniques in Aikido are working off of grabs, and that's our principal attack that we practice off of are grabs, namely at the joints, the shoulders, elbows, and most importantly, the wrists. And there's a number of reasons for that. I'd like to introduce Eric Sirota, one of our students. Eric will help me demonstrate why. So, for example, if I was armed in the old days, if I was armed with, say, a sword, one of his defenses would be to try to control my drawing hand. This would be the hand I would use to draw my weapon. Before I could get that, he might try to secure my wrist and then take action. Similarly, I might respond by also manipulating his wrist in return if I could time it right. He comes in, and then I try to lock him or throw him one more time. Thank you, Eric. So we're going to take a look at some examples of that, those responses to grabs. I'd like to invite up Mr. Edward Reese Sensei, one of our other instructors, and bring back up Christian. And we refer to these attacks as a katate dori, which means grabbing one wrist at a time. And then that advances into different combinations. So as I said, the goal is to try to unbalance people using the least amount of movement. Thank you very much, Edward Reeve Sensei. Please sit down. Let's take a look at some examples of that against arm technique. I'd like to invite back up Eric Sirota and Andrew Vitale Sensei. And if you look carefully, you'll notice how protecting yourself often involves securing and grabbing your opponent by the wrists in order to free the weapon out of their hands. There's an old lore that it's the width of a piece of paper is all you need to defend yourself from the cuts. Thank you very much. Now, a very important concept in Aikido is this idea that we practice called ukemi, which means being a receiving body. To illustrate that, I'll invite up Rob Rose Sensei again. So, to illustrate, if Rob was to say, grab my wrist like so, and if I responded like this, now he may seem like he's just taking a fall from me, but that's not exactly what's happening. Grab, hold. So he is taking ukemi. He is receiving my technique. My goal is I'm actually trying to press my hand through the space where his head used to be, which is unpleasant. And so he bends himself so he protects his head and his body. If I take him to the ground, he does a practice fall or roll to dissipate the force of it. So taking ukemi is not just playing the loser in a fight situation. He's actually staying very alert, he's paying attention, and he's checking to see what I'm doing the whole way through. Because if he grabs me, and if I'm a little off, I'm a little using too much strength, and my timing isn't right, he can choose to do something else. So we're going to see some more examples of that. Oh, Rob, please can come back out, and we'll bring up Eric Sirota again. And we'll see some more examples of the principle of ukemi in action. So in the beginning, when students are studying ukemi, they just follow and fall automatically in order to learn the technique and to keep things safe. But as you become more experienced, you start to do this improvisationally, spontaneously. So you learn how to respond to any kind of bad situation. And so some people think this is the essence of Aikido, learning so you can bend but never break. So you can respond to a situation without just reacting. And some people think this is an attitude you can take off the mat and into your daily life or dealing with whatever obstacles you encounter. Thank you very much. So Aikido can be very dynamic. It can be very fast. However, there's another aspect of our training that can be very slow and meditative, almost like Tai Chi practice. And this is very important because this helps us to concentrate on how to relax our bodies, but it is also something that opens up Aikido so you can do it even if, no matter what your age, your skill, or your physical ability. You can start any time. Maybe you can't do all of the hard falls and rolls, you can't respond as quickly, but you can still benefit from studying how to interact with another body, how to keep yourself relaxed, and how to stay coordinated and keep focused. And so this way you can continue doing Aikido way into your advanced years without stopping. And if you are still young and able-bodied and you are doing this, this is also a way of developing a greater sense of relaxation. Okay, so that is our demonstration of Aikido. You've been a great audience. We'd like to thank the Midwest Buddhist Temple again for inviting us. We are going to, I'll invite back up our Chief Instructor, Marshall Turner Sensei. We'll do a few more rounds and we'll bow out. And if you are interested in anything you saw, please look us up at chicagoaikikai.org. We have flyers by the JSC table. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Oh boy.
Thank you very much, Chicago Aikikai.
超现实就是对于这种浪漫的小东西，他们也是。